Well, we finally managed to track down the man of the moment, Willie Mullins. Willie, you've just proven you're human after all by not winning a race here this afternoon, the Paddy Power Chase. But even then, there's a theme. You used to train real steel.
Wasn't for a lack of trying. We'd age in it, but and some ran well, some ran middling, but there we are.
He was always a good horse, in fairness, real steel. Probably no surprise to you, is it?
Yeah, and you know he took a lot of getting right, because I think he was fed up with racing, and Eric managed him well and got him back right. So great for Eric McNamara and Connor, who used to do a lot of riding for me, to win. So I'm delighted for both of them, actually.
It's been some afternoon, 5 out of 5 off the bat today, and no doubt about the highlights, the two Grade 1s, Blue Lord and Facile Vega. I have to start with Facile Vega because he's one of the most exciting horses on the scene at the moment. How did you rate what he did today?
I was very happy. I mean, a lot of people probably said it visually he wasn't great, because you know, it looked like Danny on LA Tomp was going to pass him after turning for home. Danny was absolutely cantering behind him, but the minute Paul let out an inch of rain, he just galloped away up the straight. And that on the back of what he did early on down in the back stretch. When he turned down the back stretch the first time, I thought, wow, this fella's taken too much of a hold. And he flew that first hurdle down there, took a lot out of him. He just stood so far back at it, and Paul couldn't get him back. It took him until he got to the next hurdle to get him back. You know, so he ran a whole race there, in my view, and Paul got him settled, got a second wind into him, and then he was able to fight off, you know, 134 rated horse who's improving, I think.
Next stop, obviously, would appear to be the Dublin Racing Festival. Is that what's on your mind, and then on to Cheltenham?
I imagine that's the sort of plan. Dublin Racing Festival, hopefully Cheltenham, back to Punchestown.
Willie, I know you feel the horse will stay a bit further as well. Let's face it, he's bred to also. But is there any need to change it this season? Will he stay at 2 miles?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm happy enough. He jumps well enough. You know, today's plan A was to get a lead, but he proves he's able to jump out and gallop over his hurdles on his own. So we can do that either. You know, there's no problem with that.
I mean, you've put your feelings about the horse on record. Is he still, in your eyes, as good, as exciting a horse as you probably had to your hand?
I think so. You know, I think he's a big test, second run over hurdles to come up here into Grade 1 and take on horses that have way more experience than him. So, yeah, good.
Blue Lord was seriously impressive in the Rewards Club chase. I know Shacon's mistake 2 out made life a bit easier for him, but he would have had to be near his best, I think, to beat Blue Lord, wouldn't he?
He would have. I was delighted that Shacon showed you know, what he was like earlier on in his career. He loves Leopardstown, flew down the back stretch. I don't know why he missed the second last. It's not like him, you know, it's not a big fence or anything like that, but anyhow, it fell into Blue Lord's hands, and he just galloped away from them. The way the race was run, which I think most championship races probably should be run or are run, there was tremendous pace. He just sat out off the pace and took advantage of it. And taking advantage was one thing, but the manner in which he won in the end, to me, you know, he just galloped away from decent horses. So I didn't think he'd improved that much this season, and I was looking at 2.5 miles from, but we have to have a rethink now, maybe go back to 2 miles.
The way he won today, and I don't know whether you heard or not, Leopardstown unseated his rider over at Kempton as well, who beat him at Cheltenham back in the springtime. It would look the obvious path, I guess, wouldn't it now? It
would. You know, we've energy in there as well, but we'll see, but at the moment anyway, it would look like where he go, but he could go for the Ryanair either, you know.
Dysart Dynamo, Willie, first time out over fences today. Did you see everything you wanted to see from him?
Yeah, he'd been very good at home. I brought him to Punchestown the other day to school over fences, and he jumped from fence to fence, and more or less did the same today, so very, very pleased with him. He has far more respect for his fences than he does over hurdles. His hurdles, he used to just gallop out through them and gallop as fast as he could without jumping them, whereas fences, he has a look at them and they steady him up and they help him settle. And he's a much easier ride and nicer ride over fences. He
ran home really strongly today, and Takao and Winter Fog were the other two winners, both impressive in their own ways, I guess, weren't they?
Yeah, Takao, I think, just had he improved nicely from Navan to today. Second horse in that race, Chris Jones' horse, ran a great race, but our fellow improved nicely and held on. He's a horse that'll improve. And then Winter Fog coming back in trip. with young Kieran O'Callaghan on board, who gave him a super ride. Very cool young man, and we'll hear lots more about him, I think. And delighted for new owners. Winterfog did it well.
It's been quite the afternoon, Willie. 5 out of 6, and we wish you well in the last with Facile still to come.
Yeah, he's a nice horse. I think the trip will suit him. So our fellow is nice anyhow. So I don't know what. I haven't heard much about the opposition yet, but I'm sure they'll.
I'm sure they're worried about you.
There'll be plenty there.
Real much with interest. Thanks, Willie.
Thank you.
Goodbye.